the City of Cottonwood Heights. This is our council meeting work session for Tuesday, August 27th. It's 5 o'clock. I want to excuse Councilmember Michael, who has a conflict for the first part of the meeting. I think she'll be calling in at 5:30 for the closed session, and I understand she'll be joining us for the work session and maybe for the canvassing at 6:45 or 7. She'll be joining us later. Before you have the business meeting agenda, which, well, I actually have the Board of Canvassing agenda as well as the business meeting agenda. Board of Canvassing will do it 6:45, we'll have the election results of the members. Then you have the business meeting agenda, which we have two proclamations. The first is International Drug Overdose Awareness Day. Maybe is it Day of Awareness or the Day of Awareness? Well, Day of Awareness. Okay, that's right. And recognition of one of our Brighton High School students, valedictorian, several finalists for the National Merit Scholarship in 2019 Desert News Mr. Soccer. So quite accomplishment for that young man. We have some acknowledgements. This is becoming routine, so we appreciate it. Achievement for excellence in financial reporting with our comprehensive financial report, or CAFR. Scott, I guess you'll be presenting.
I'm actually going to present on both of those.
Okay.
Okay.
We have citizen comments, we have some action items. The first item is approving entry into a consulting agreement with Horrocks Engineering for the transportation study. I understand this is different than our condition index study on our roads. So, any other questions about that item?
Yeah, Matt will be here to present on that, but it's basically, in fact, I can hear him right now as he probably walks in. Matt, on the Horrocks agreement, will you just take a brief second and talk about what that is?
Yeah, on the Horrocks agreement, we're updating a section of the transportation portion of the general plan. It's a small portion of it, and what this does is, right now we're charging an impact fee, and we are looking at moving forward either with the impact fee for transportation or not. We're kind of at that point as we're built out and we're at a certain size already. So what this piece does is it will look at all the main arterials, traffic counts, figuring those out, and at that point deciding, this information will give us the basis for deciding whether we push forward with a full impact fee study at that point.
When you say push forward impact study that then comes back to the council to decide, is this fact finding or?
This is a fact finding, yes. It will tell us, the study will tell, we'll bring it back to you when we're done. The study will tell us meaning you and the staff, that we do have a basis for moving into the next phase and up, gosh, the word just slipped my mind, I apologize. Upgrading the master plan, the full master plan at that point, for impact fees and for growth and things of that nature.
And so it's future implementation.
It's future,
of
yeah.
Impact fees. This is a study to help us in that decision.
Correct. The one we have now it's older. It was done in 2005, I believe. I mean, we've gone far beyond that study at the time. This will give us the information we need to push forward on updating the transportation master plan, and then updating the impact fees and the fees that we need for capital projects, road constructions.
Have we dealt with Horrocks in the past?
I have personally in other municipalities.
I have as well.
They are they're the transportation, I guess for lack of a better term, gurus in the state. They're well-respected firm in the state.
And what's the amount of the,
I believe it's around 15,000, yeah, I'm thinking of another
15,850.
okay, any questions? Come back to later. The second action item is, consulting agreement with Blue Line Designs quote for master plan for a segment of the bottom of the shoreline. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not for the trail itself, it's for trailhead, it's for trail access. We have a pretty good sense of where the alignment is, but we've never formally considered where access points will be, what capacity those trailheads need to be at, how impactful they are. So this study will look at that, and there's extensive public feedback and
So
discussion.
what would the study consist of as far as public involvement then?
The scope of the project includes 2 open houses. One preliminary open house to formalize goals, what's important to residents as far as accessing trails, concerns, other commentary like that. And then we'll kind of go back into working mode and come up with conceptual ideas of where they go, what they look like, how big they are. Bring that back out for additional public comment, and then formalize the final plan.
Can the amount of this one is?
$38,520, and this is utilizing the Bonneville Shoreline grant funding we received from the county.
The third item is for action is a resolution to enter into a professional service agreement with Whiting Analytics. I think everyone's aware that something we put on our budget is to survey our constituents, our residents. I'm excited to see that happen. Great item. Next item.
What's the amount on that?
13,600. And if you want, in the meeting, I can detail the process of that, the methodology and process for the
Okay.
study, if
That's a
you'd
good
like.
idea. Yeah. Item 5.4, approving entry into interlocal agreement with the city of Holiday for the cost sharing on 30 fees to community members and all of our road improvements. 30th each, you come off 6,200 in this week. We've got some real neat repairs, and I know I've got complaints through there, so we're excited to work with Holiday and jointly get that. Matt, any comments on that?
Just, the project itself is out for bid right now. So we're moving forward. We hope to have that constructed this fall, finalized this fall. And we've worked with Holiday, their city engineer, and he's looked at our numbers, and we feel good about where we are. And will be managing the project. They're busy with another large project, so that's the reason for this. We're just combining the two, and we're bidding it out, and we'll manage the project.
And the reason we're collaborating with them is because we both own half of the road.
Yeah,
They
they're,
own-
the costs are a little less than half for them, so it's 178,000
We're
for
going a
us.
little further.
We're going up into the
further.
intersection. The intersection
We're
actually
going further
belongs to
south,
us.
Yeah, okay.
So the costs are, they'll pay 112,000 of the project, we'll pay 178,000, total of 290,000.
Yeah. Badly needed, so thank you. Any questions on those items?
I expect that to get bid and then done by October-ish. in a couple months.
That project will go very quick once it starts. So I would suspect it will be down for about a week.
So they're taking down a couple.
Taking down 2 inches, similar to what we did over here on Highland. We'll take it down 2 inches, 2.5 inches asphalt material in between to try to get rid of the reflective cracking, and then overlay it again. So it's not a complete reconstruction, it's an overlay.
All right, excellent, excited to see what happened. Any questions on either the Board of Canvassing meeting or the business meeting? Hearing none, we'll come back to reports. That's Matt and the street dedication proposal for Lexi Lane.
Yeah, so Matt and I will kind of walk through this process. There's a very detailed ordinance that details anytime a resident or group of residents wants to petition for the city to accept a lane that was constructed as private lane, and present that for dedication by the city, and it would then become a public street. So I'm going to present an overview of that ordinance, and in this presentation, that ordinance clearly defines roles, who does what at each phase, so that's in here as well. And then Councilmember Bracken requested a quick analysis of Lexi Lane and the project itself, the zoning, the land use, that side of things. So I have a few slides detailing that. So an overview of the road dedication process, and this is really just summarizing this chapter in Title 14 of our code. It begins with a petition from residents. That was submitted to the city recorder. We have a certain amount of time to then validate the signatures and ensure that enough people sign the petition. It has to be 51% of owners of record on the road. In the case of Lexi Lane, it's a fairly small subdivision, so they did that.
How many homes is it?
6, I believe. I've got the plat. Yep. And then the third step is where we are tonight, and it's the responsibility of the city council to consider the petition, and then the council may authorize the inspection of the road and a report on the road. Basically, this report and inspection provides you an idea of the current condition of the road and what it will take to bring it up to city standards. If it's deficient, it will address those deficiencies and provide, at the option of the council, an estimate of ongoing costs, snow removal, ongoing maintenance, things like that. Assuming the council decides to authorize that road inspection report, that report is done. I believe there's a timeline of 45 days to complete that, report it back to the council. At which point the council will be presented with the report. It'll find that the road is either conforming to city standards or non-conforming. I've got another slide that details the options depending on the result of that inspection. Throughout this process, the only role of the Community Development Department is to ensure that ongoing fees are collected to offset any cost to the city of this analysis. There's an initial fee paid up front and then collection of ongoing fees. And then comes the final decision. So assuming the council, and this is what we're discussing tonight, but assuming the council directs the preparation of a report and inspection, this is what it entails. We'll look at the road to ensure that there's proper street signage. If not, we'll address what needs to be done. Curb, gutter, sidewalk, pavement width, curvature, visibility, all the attributes of a road that we look at for public roads, we would inspect to ensure that they comply with city standards or identify what is deficient. We would consult with the fire department and other emergency services departments to ensure that all access standards of those departments and agencies are being complied with. And then at the option of the mayor and council, the public works director may also prepare a conceptual or a tentative road maintenance or ongoing cost estimate to what that will cost to maintain as a public street. And like I said, that report and inspection is submitted to the city council within 45 days from the date of the council's direction to staff. At that point, that report will find that the road is either conforming or non-conforming. If it is conforming, it's again brought to the council. It's the council's discretion whether to continue the road dedication process or reject the petition. If it's a non-conforming road, the code lays out a few different options. The council may reject the petition. The council may notify the petitioners that the road is deficient, in which case the petitioner is able within 180 days to agree to pay the cost. Again, here's the associated cost. There's an application fee of $500 that has been paid. That was paid at the time the petition was submitted. Additional fees, this includes the inspection, the report, title work, etc. And these two bullet points are quotes directly out of the ordinance. The one is, the community development director shall require processing fee to be augmented from time to time to fully cover the city's out-of-pocket costs incurred in connection with this whole process. There is another option in the ordinance that the council may authorize any of the survey work, the studies, the professional services to be done by an engineer selected by the petitioners and guided by the city engineer. So rather than have us do the inspection report, the direction could be given for them to hire an engineer and then coordinate with the city engineer to prepare that report. Either way, the ordinance allows the city to collect the fees for that work. So that's an overview of the process. And then if the city decides to accept the road, there's a process of clearing title and making sure that all the technical details are wrapped up. And there's a very specific procedure there. Would probably include a plat amendment, because right now it's platted as a private road. So there's a technical list of things that would need to be done, but I didn't include that here.
Okay, my brain's kind of off a couple things. So did you say at the beginning that the action by the council to proceed, is that an action or is that just administrative direction?
It's direction. It says the city council may direct the city
So
engineer.
it's just a direct, it's not something you have to take formal action.
I don't
We
believe
don't
so.
vote on it.
Well, I think we gotta have the council vote on it, so.
Okay.
That's what it
Yes, you
said.
can do it here, and you can either have a voice vote in the public meeting or do a resolution, so.
Okay.
Probably, I think in the past, we've done a resolution on it.
Okay, so it'd be okay. I didn't know if we were doing that. Yeah.
With time yet, you can, if you got, when dedicating it, that.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying as far as giving staff direction to do the analysis.
Yeah, the ordinance requires the council to direct staff at this
Right.
point.
That's what I'm saying, is that just a discussion here and give direction, or is it a resolution through a business meeting?
Yeah, I think you got to, you wouldn't take action normally in a work session, so I think
Yeah,
probably
that's why I
needs
asked.
to be in the business meeting and either a voice motion, voice vote, or a resolution.
Yeah.
I think that in the past, we have, the only time that I can think of that we've done this is 70th South. You remember that street that was substandard? It was a little.
7200 south.
7200 South, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we did the one mix.
Yeah, so we had to go through this process on that. That's the only other time I recall doing it.
What I would suggest if the council, well, on that process is, we would probably prepare a resolution in the next
For
week.
September, that's what I
Which would be
would
the
guess, yeah,
September
yeah.
third meeting, we'd
Yeah.
have you consider it, because it's not noticed for a decision tonight, so we would need to do that on third of September.
Okay, that was my point.
Okay.
Well, we'll get to that now. Part of that analysis is the condition of the road,
Yeah.
and the cost and budget impacts and what, how to do that. Well, that's what we have to, after the presentation, that'll be the discussion we have right now, yeah. So go, yeah. finish
Yeah,
your
so
presentation.
so that's the ordinance, that's the
That's-
process, that applies no matter where this is.
That's the question.
You know, this is applied for, and then this is some information that was requested by the council, by Councilmember Bracken, to provide a little context of Lexi Lane and where it is, what it is. You can see it's in, District 1 on the west end of the city, just off of Creek Road, right down the hill from the apartment complex up, the new apartments in Sandy City Room.
Can you show where that, it's where that
It's
star
the
is?
star at the
Okay.
bottom, yeah.
Okay.
Zooming in, this is a closer
Yeah.
shot of it. It's a fairly new subdivision. I believe the plat was recorded in 2014. So, 6 lots. I think this photo is a little outdated. I think progress has been made on those lots that are under construction, but I don't believe it's fully finished at this point. Regardless, the lots are all owned and the petitioners have met the requirements to submit. But this was done as a private subdivision, a standard subdivision with private road, and you can see the parcel lines there extend into the middle of the road. This is a copy of the recorded subdivision plat, and again, you can see the private street there is essentially an easement over each of those lots. What that means is the area of the road is included in the calculation of the lot size. So here, at the request of Councilmember Bracken, is a quick analysis of current land use and zoning. So the current zoning is RR 121, that's a half-acre zoning. The current land use designation is residential rural density, which corresponds with densities 2 units per acre or less dense. So half-acre. And that's the land use. And you can see the context.
Oh, the
in
RR
here.
121 is actually a little less than half.
It's 21,780.
Okay, so which one are we using? Are we using the half acre or the 21,000?
21 means 21,780
Okay.
in the ordinance. It's exactly half an acre. Here's an analysis, an estimated analysis of current lot sizes and just an approximate lot size. If we took the area of the current private road out of the area of the lots. And what we see there is it puts those lots, most likely all the lots, under half an acre. We have discussed this with the petitioners, and the approach we took as staff that we would recommend, if the council recommends proceeding with a report, would be, if we were given that direction, staff would prepare the inspection, the report, the analysis. This would probably be one of the analysis items. It would then require a subdivision amendment and probably a rezone application to change the land use and zoning of those lots, so that after you take the area of the city standard road out, it still complies with minimum zoning. So that would be a step that would need to be taken probably somewhere in the middle of this road dedication process. And I think the concept would be, put the process on hold for a little bit. The petitioners would go through that rezone process to see if it gets approved or not. Depending on the result, we can come back to the road dedication process. So that is the added complication in the case of Lexi Lane. So,
Is there, what's the land use, would you be creating a land use that's dissimilar from all surrounding land use?
well, so a similar thing took place, this is the Woodbridge subdivision. This came in front of the council a year or two ago. And in that, we did a context analysis. So yeah, if you're just looking at the colors on a map, it is dissimilar.
I remember this.
But if we go in and analyze a lot of the lots in this area, many of those existing parcels are actually less than half an acre today. So there's a lot of non-conforming lots there. So looking at, that context, it's not as dissimilar as it looks on a zoning map or a land use map.
What's the name of the developer that originally made the target?
I would have to look it up. I don't.
Jay Rice was one of them. Who's
This was staff signature, so whoever was here in 2014 would sign. I don't know. That is Rainier Hut. So that is an overview of the road dedication process, the role of staff and the council in that process, and the context of Lexi Lane itself. So that's what's in front of you, and again, the next step in this process would be authorization by the council for staff or for an engineer hired by the petitioners to conduct a road inspection and prepare a report of the current conditions and what it would take to
The
bring it up.
cost of that is borne by the applicant.
In either case, yes.
May I comment?
Please.
To get to your question on the pros and cons, with the process, the way it's outlined in our ordinance, and where those costs, as just has been mentioned, are incurred by the petitioners through a process, our biggest issue is making sure that if we do take over this road, that it's built to the standards, and the costs we have built into the ordinance that it can be incurred through this process. So I feel a lot more comfortable with that there is a process in place, but the bottom line is it is going to be probably expensive to do the analysis and actually bring the code up, or the road up to code standards potentially. That's something that will have to be evaluated by both the petitioners and the city as we go through that process. But feel good that we have a process in place. A lot of times we just come back and the city has to determine whether they're gonna do it or not and who's gonna incur the cost for bringing the road up to standards, but we do have that built
So,
in.
and in this case, they'll also have to go through another process, which is land use
Yep.
and rezone.
Correct. Correct. So the bottom line is, as we bring this to you next week with the resolution, if that's what you want us to do, you know, you'll have to determine whether you feel like, at least at this point, that it has merits to, if it is brought up to standards, to take it over as a city road, and you can determine that next week. with
Well,
the
to me,
resolution.
before you can determine anything, you need to have that report to understand the condition of the road, through that study.
Will any of this process be a surprise to the petitioner, or is this what they expect?
I think the petitioner has done their homework, they know what the ordinance says, so this shouldn't be surprising.
So in a private subdivision like this, were there standards that were approved for the road prior? Did we have to approve the
Yeah,
road?
well, yeah, I guess what other requirements we have on a private road, are they, we don't have
So
requirements?
we did not approve.
No, we didn't approve.
I guess 'cause you
any.
can have a dirt road going up to your house, right?
Yeah, we didn't approve this.
Okay.
no.
Okay. All right, so not any existing data then.
But there's gonna be asphalt
Yeah.
thickness, there's gonna be curb gutter sidewalk, things that are, of those elements that will have to be brought up to
That's
to
my
city
question,
standards.
like we found at the Canyon Center when that road was put in,
Correct.
we had to have some issues there.
Oh, well, this looks like it
One
starts
side, I
one here.
believe, has, is that one side?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the difficulty in here is gonna be the stormwater.
So there's not,
You know, it's-
Stormwater be included in that?
It will be included in the
Yeah,
analysis.
you'd have to. I mean, if we take it over, obviously that means that it becomes a permanent city road, that means we're responsible for repairing it, that's why we wanna.
Well, snow removal and all.
Snow
those
removal
things.
And
garbage
potentially
goes up there.
stormwater.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Which would.
Where does the stormwater go?
Back of that house,
there's
there and on the side.
here and back here.
Yeah.
It doesn't go towards those apartments.
There's a detention basin right on the side there.
This is the detention basin here.
Well, to me, it's only logical that we proceed with the study unless someone feels.
Make sure they wanna pay for it.
Yeah, well, we need facts. I mean, it's hard to make a decision without all the facts related to the.
I mean, it's a newer road, if they build it close or to standard, then they shouldn't get any surprises, but sometimes you don't know.
We'd need to look at the widths and all of the cross sections. I mean, there's some things to look at for sure.
So if we say to proceed, you would like an answer on which of these paths to proceed, is that correct?
Yes. So the options the council has is which of these two options, whether the city do the inspection or the city council authorize a private engineer to do it. And then there's one more piece is optional authorization to provide an estimate of ongoing costs, and that's directed to Public Works Director.
Keeping it up over the long term plowing.
Yeah, ongoing maintenance costs, yeah.
Well, we definitely want to know what the ongoing is, just so we have that information.
And are you recommending that the city do it? That we take door number one there?
Do we have a preference?
I was recommending a city take door number 2, authorize the survey and studies. Have them hire the firm and have us oversee it.
I would recommend that as well.
Okay.
So I think I agree with that too, and that's why we should.
Either way, there's some things that we would still have to hire out if we were to do it ourselves. So there are some things that need to be done.
Does that, in the case that you take door number 2, does the processing fee get augmented by those additional things you're talking about, because that language doesn't seem to imply that?
These are not, these are in two different places in the ordinance. So
So
I
they're
don't
not
think these are,
related.
this isn't an either or, these
I
are
see.
just in two different locations in the ordinance.
So the action of the council would be for the second item there, plus a report as to the ongoing costs.
Correct. which will, yeah, obviously we'll take care of that.
Which will be a solution at our next meeting.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I'll make a request, apparently this is the second time, and I mean, I asked you the questions I asked, because I kind of thought, if you take the road out, they're all gonna be non-conforming. And that does cause me some concern, however, it also tends to be mitigated by what you both just pointed out, that we did this over somewhere else. I guess if it's not too much time or trouble, it might be interesting to see in this RR 121, how many lots actually conform.
We did that
to the
analysis
zoning.
I
already.
have we
Do
did
a
this
little
Woodbridge
map that,
property.
like, this one is, and this one red and green.
I
or
think
whatever
I've
it is.
got most of these inventoried here already. I didn't go too far this way.
Cause that almost begs the question, if there's that many that are
Non-conforming, maybe
should
it's
we
the
make them
zone that's
conform?
not conforming.
Yeah, and that's the long-term question that,
Yeah.
cause I mean, I just poked around at a couple of the nearest neighbors.
Yeah, the analysis we did already should be on file, and that'll be easy to just pull up and put
Did
on.
it go over this far?
I think it does. I'll have to check.
Well, I mean, if it does, but if not, maybe we can
Not in the future.
keep going.
Well, once we have the study, I think those will all be questionable too.
Well, that, yeah, maybe add that to the,
Sure.
to the study part, so we can look at it.
Yeah. All right.
Cause that could change whether, in my mind, that would change whether that becomes a city-initiated move if we opt to change the old underlying zone or something in there, or whether it's the petitioner's application to change something that might be non-conforming.
Okay, Shane, you have enough to proceed?
Yes, thank you.
All right, we need to move quickly because we're gonna run out of time tonight, but, looking at your agenda, the next item is, we have some calendar items for your consideration. One item that's not in here, probably the Heights is over with, right?
That finished last night.
That was last night. Bark in the Park, also on that same day, that same morning, Station 110 has a pancake breakfast, is that right?
Correct.
It's not on your calendar, so you wanna consider that. Let's Bark in the Park down at Mountain View Park, 10 a.m. We have two Art Council items on,
Mayor, if I might?
please.
One other, just to be aware, the second Tuesday of October, we don't have a regularly scheduled meeting, but we have scheduled the youth council dinner with the mayor and council. So for
That's October
8th.
We'll include those on the next agenda.
Yeah, you can see, Monster Mash, which is, the rec center, which is the Halloween gathering that night, the rec center.
And this date looks a little bit different because we moved it to the Friday before Halloween.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
So is that any ice rink again?
Yeah. Well, you do it there.
Yeah. November 5th, general election, and then, December 2nd, Light the Heights and City Hall, a couple dates you can put on your calendar. Anything else we need a calendar? All right, some that are in there, we say goodbye to Mike Shelton too,
Not soon enough for you, I'm sure.
When the ball drops.
Yeah. All right,
Actually, I guess that's-
we need to, adjourn to the canvassing meeting by about 20 to 7 for 6:45 meeting. So entertain a motion for a closed meeting to discuss litigation. It's all litigation, right? Potential litigation. Okay.
Close the open session and open the closed session.